Hey everyone, I chose the nursing facility case study for my subject, and it involves a 54-year-old man, and his name is Milton Johnson, and he was a truck driver for 10 years, and his career sadly ended in Texas when he had a wreck in a blizzard and he was paralyzed from the waist down. He was in rehabilitation for 6 weeks, and when he was finished with his rehabilitation, he was moved to a nursing facility, which it was in Amarillo, and he was from Marble Falls, which is actually 600 miles away from his home. So he had an ex-wife and he had an older son that lived in Dallas, Texas. So he only got to speak to his son really just once a month. And so 18 months in the nursing facility was a really long time for him, and he realized that he really didn't want to be treated like basically an old man in a nursing home. And so he remembered hearing from the DADS, which is the Department of Aging and Disability Services, and he remembered them saying the opportunities for people to move out of a nursing facility, which he never really paid attention to because he just wanted to basically get out of there, do his thing, get out of there, and but he never really noticed that it was a 24-hour job to take care of him. So the relocation specialist grouped with him and talked about types of transitions, and told him this ongoing process was intended to support him, but he could also make his own choices. So when they continued talking about relocation, he mentioned that he wanted to be back in Marble Falls where he was close to his son, to where he could talk to him more and just interact and be together again. And he also wanted someone to take him to the doctor and someone to take him to the grocery store, and he really wanted to be close to a bookstore because he really enjoyed reading. And the DADS, obviously, from what I read, really enjoyed him, and they wanted the best for him, so they scheduled a visit to the nursing facility to start all the crazy paperwork and things like that. And they had they shot huge ideas at him, and he really just loved the nursing facility, which involves home health. And so they went to the home health and they talked through that, and there were 3 parts to where you had to get, or you would be eligible to get in. And the 3 parts were home health agencies had to accept Milton's criteria first. Second, the DADS case manager had to verify that he was eligible. And the third is the services had to be identified in the service plan. And so all 3 of those went through, but the only thing was he had a lot of trouble with financial needs. And he didn't want this huge house, but he wanted enough room for him and his son to be together. So it took months on months to actually get to where he could actually be able to live on his own with a nurse that came in every once in a while. And he did not realize that it would take so long to find a place to live that could accommodate to his physical needs, because when you're in a wheelchair, you need bigger spaces and things like that. And the relocation specialist was working to secure the houses for Milton, which took a really long time. the director provided training and educational materials on Medicaid and the availability of long-term services and support. So, after a very, very long time, the DADS finally found him a home to live in near Marble Falls, and they met again to go over their goals and responsibilities. And on the day of discharge and relocation, Milton's relocation specialist met him when he arrived at the apartment. And Milton was extremely overwhelmed because when he got to the apartment, the kitchen and everything was stocked. He had new clothes on his bed, and it was just a really overwhelming thing for him because he hasn't been in, an independent home in 18 to 28 months. And so he really had trouble at first with his nurse that came to his home health. Every once in a while she'd be late, or I read about a story on there that one day she didn't show up at all and he couldn't get out of bed, and he tried to do it himself and he got dizzy, and he had to lay back down and didn't know what to do. Well, there was a provider called the Emergency Response System, and it was a device that he could call, and it would call to his neighbor, and then it would call to an emergency number. So the day that he remembered that, he got to call his neighbor, and his neighbor came up and helped him out of bed and everything. And overall, for the remainers of the whole relocation and everything, the specialist comes to him 4 times in the first month, 3 times in the second month, and then in the third time he only comes once, which the DADS visits him every 6 months. And overall, I can tell he's probably extremely happy that he's finally independent and he can see his family all over again. So, thank you.